Vermont Pure Natural Spring Water, America's premium bottled water.
Miles from Boston, 250 miles from New York City. The quaint yet cosmopolitan village of Woodstock, Vermont, settled in 1776. Woodstock is the site of the Covered Bridges Half Marathon, a race laid out to showcase the covered bridges and the beauty of the area. Champion Bill Rogers surveys the location.
Unlike other sports where you're in a stadium or in a swimming pool or on a court, in running you're outside with Mother Nature. You know, you train and you race over the woods and by the rivers and by the lakes and through the snow sometimes. So I like this feeling of running in the country. To me, that's the best place to run. The location, this is a beautiful little place. You know, Woodstock and Vermont is beautiful, and the lure of running through the bridges, that's what it's all about.
600 line up for the start along the Ottaquechee River. 13 miles away, adjacent to the finish line, the Quechee Gorge, known as the Grand Canyon of the East. The honorary starter and participant, Fred Lebo of the New York Roadrunners Club.
They have more runners in this half marathon than any half marathon in the state of Vermont.
Okay, we're doing good.
About half the race is on the dirt roads with lots of rolling hills. Volunteers from the community and around the state come out to support the race. All proceeds to benefit Vermont Special Olympics. Avid runner and Vermont cheerleader, Jack McGuire.
First of all, we pay homage to the covered bridges in Vermont. The runners will go through and follow this riverbed and either go through or go by 4 covered bridges. You know, every community is responsible for their own bridge, and that's why they're in good shape. New Englanders, especially Vermont people, take pride in their property. And that's one of the things we do as Vermont Pure. We have a nonprofit organization, Covers, concerned over Vermont's covered bridges, and we're helping the communities to maintain them. But it's really inspirational to look up and see the water, the bridges, and that's why they're here. They're going to take in the scenery, and that's what's going to make it just a little bit different than the pavements, and they'll enjoy it.
Enjoying it very much is leader Ron Viens of Claremont, New Hampshire. Ron takes in the scenery at 5:20 per mile pace. Number 14, Dot Graham and Bonnie McReynolds battle in the women's competition. Over 1:11:12, a new course record.
29 is the bib number. 129, crossing the finish line. Rod Means of Fairmont, New Hampshire.
Here's Dot Graham breaking the tape in 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 40 seconds. The Covered Bridges Half Marathon, a very big little race. At the award ceremony, Jack McGuire presented a check for upkeep of the covered bridges to race director Susan Plump.
Great pleasure. In fact, as a side note, I never made a check out to a bridge, and I don't know how we're going to cash it, but this is made out to a covered bridge.
4-time Boston Marathon winner Bill Rogers was the marquee runner in the 3rd annual Covered Bridges Half Marathon. The 13-mile course covered a scenic route by 4 covered bridges from Woodstock to Quechee. Mike Perlow tagged along for a beautiful day of huffing and puffing.
Some runners had dreams of winning it all. Others were a bit more realistic.
Finish. I'd like to finish.
The keys to that?
Slowly. Running slowly and surely. I'm the tortoise today.
Tortoise or speed demon or even beach bum, runners showed up from all over the country.
I think a lot of people are coming from far away because it's just so pretty up here. The weather's great. We're ready. We could start now. Only an hour to go.
An hour later, the gun sounded and off they went. At the village green, the leaders had moved ahead. It was a 3-man race: Ray Whitlow, Seth McLennan, and Bill Rogers. As the race moved by the Taftsville Bridge, a few wannabe runners were waiting to see their friends.
We started from the finish line, walked out to this point, and we're going to run it back in with them.
Their friends still had a ways to come, but 9 miles in, Moira Nobley had set the pace for the women, and she seemed to have a commanding lead. As for our Fab 3, it was a fight to the finish.
At 11 miles, Seth broke, and I tried to go after him. I just didn't have enough gas.
Seth McLennan crossed the finish line with a record time of 1:08:48. Rogers was second, and Oregon's Ray Whitlow was third. All 3 broke the old course record by more than 2 minutes.
I was just pretty happy to win and pretty ecstatic, actually, pretty surprised. Then I wanted to go and just jump in the lake and probably throw up somewhere, but all the TV people accosted me, so I had to go and act normal for a while.
So with the top 3 men pretty much blowing away the rest of the field, it was now time to wait for the top women's finisher, and she had pretty much led throughout the race. To no one's surprise, it was Hanover, New Hampshire's Moira Nobley. She came in at 1:20:08. After the half marathon, it was time to chill and wait for everyone else to cross that magic line. Mike Perlow, Channel 3 Sports in Quechee.
What a great day to be running or watching the running. It's becoming one of the state's spectacle events. Covered Bridge Half Marathon highlights next. Fourth annual Covered Bridge Half Marathon took place yesterday with its biggest turnout ever. Over 2,300 runners made the 13-mile track from Woodstock to Quechee, with proceeds benefiting the Vermont Special Olympics. Best of West Woodstock was the site of the 11 a.m. start. 500 more participants than the 1,800 anticipated. Start of the half marathon, which draws its name from the 4 historic covered bridges the course is run by. Coupled with the setting, the organization of this young event might make it the most appealing race in New England.
This race is so well run, and so it's just in a great location. It's a great time, and it just seems like everybody wants to come out here. I don't blame them.
As the sun was out, the wind did cooperate, making yesterday a chilly day for running and a challenge for the elite field. But the elements couldn't dampen the spirits of these athletes despite the blustery conditions.
Really
really scenic and it's very nice. It was kind of windy on the back part, so that made it kind of a long run, but I think it's a great race.
Besides the beautiful setting, the race featured its strongest field of runners ever. But for the second year in a row, Seth McClellan, a 23-year-old Dartmouth medical student and Norwich native, won the race at a course record 1 hour, 7 minutes, 6 seconds.
Yeah, the field was deeper. Bill Rogers wasn't here, so we missed one big name. But in all, I mean, we had 4 guys faster than I ran last year.
Naoko Ishibe, a Harvard grad student, ran away from the women's field, finishing in 1 hour, 22 minutes.
When there's somebody around you that motivates you to press even harder, and without that, it was just kind of me against the clock, and I knew I wasn't going to hit like my personal best or anything like that today. So.
And an America's Cup.